All right, take two. Back to the hand model. Okay, so the first. So I'm gonna go through super duper quick in case that other video did nothing. So pages 1 and 2 are trash white paper because you're completely covering up, so it doesn't matter what paper it is. It's not in your kit, so you can just get your ugliest paper and use the back of it. 3 and 4 are your gray out of your kit. And then I'm going to be doing flip 1, 2, and 3. So flip 1 is your 6x6 page protector. Flip 2 is your 6x8 page protector, and flip 3 is your 8.5x11 page protector. So when I tell you flip 1, put on your 6x6. Flip 2, 6x8. Flip 3, 8.5x11. So if you line those up on your table, it'll be ready to rock and roll. And you can still keep your shelves for your page 1, 2, 3, and 4. So with that, we are going to get going. The first thing that we're going to be cutting is our wood grain paper. Now I did this with the wood grain going left to right, but it really does not matter. It is not directional. Because the back of this wood grain paper is the blue, so it's not directional either way, right?
No, the blue is directional.
The blue is definitely directional.
Okay, so then I had you cutting
with the grain or against
cutting
it?
Through the stripes, not with the stripes on the back. So on the blue side, we're cutting through the stripes, not with the stripes.
Okay. So the wood grain, we are cutting with the wood grain.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes. Okay, so I don't know if y'all remember from this last time, but remember what we did is we made a frame. So we gutted this paper. And so you're going to gut it with 1 inch on the top, 1 inch at the bottom with 2 inches on the side. So you're going to put it in. You are going to be cutting against the lines. You're going to start at 0 and you're going to cut up to the 10-inch mark. You're going to measure 1 inch. You're going to start at the bottom. And you're going to cut up to 10.
10 or 11?
10, because we want it to be 2 inches on the left side.
Oh, sorry.
So 1 inch at the top and the bottom and 2 inches on the side.
Yes.
So I'm gonna cut down to 10.
Yes.
That's okay. But don't start at the very top. Start at 2.
No. You're not gutting the middle, you're gutting the side. So you're starting at 0.
You're making a
up
C.
to 10. Yeah, you're making a C or a U.
That's what's confused about is where the C is gonna be.
I don't like this new trim. I'm so confused.
0 to 10. Okay, now flip the paper upside down and cut from 0 to 10 on the other side in the same direction. So you're making the bottom of your C now.
Put with the lines.
Through. Okay.
My head hurts too much.
I know, I'm sorry.
I have a headache too.
Confused.
Okay,
This should be this.
so
I
we're
know.
cutting with, against the lines, we're cutting it at the 1 inch mark. Now where's your
See, mine
those
is
are
mine's up to 2.
technical difficulties.
yours is down.
Yeah, and you're not at 1 inch.
Okay, so we're gonna put it in at 1.
I think I did that right, but you know what? It'll be fine.
Now yours was starting at the top,
Okay.
bringing it down.
Just
to
don't
Okay.
care.
Love your attitude.
It'll always
I
be
can't
fine.
think through this right
All
now.
right, now flip it on its back and do that same thing again.
That's what I was gonna
Yep.
do, but it's, okay.
Yep. And then you're gonna turn it on its side and connect the 2 dots to finish out that C.
And it should
And
be 2
that will be
inches.
11, that will be 1 inch to 11 inches.
But it should be 2 inches wide.
Yes, 2 inches wide.
I know it's not.
Are you with me, Bobby? Yep, she's got it.
Yeah.
All right, so your C, your outside C, Kathy showed the camera real good. Thank you. All right, so your outside C goes wood grain up on page 1. Now your inside piece, now we're cutting again through the line on the blue side. And we are cutting it at 4 inches.
I missed that.
Through the lines, 4 inches.
Thank you.
That's what she kept saying, it kept falling out.
All right, so that 4x10 piece goes on page 1, blue up. All right, now that what's left, put it in your trimmer short and cut it at 6. All right, now that 6x6 goes on flip 2. All right, so your remaining piece, put it in the trimmer short and cut it at 3 inches. All right, and they both go on flip 3. So you're 8.5 by 11.
Here's your flip plus. This is not flip plus.
Oh,
So this is
yeah,
flip
I
2.
see it.
This
It goes
is
on,
flip
you got,
3.
you're missing one,
Sorry.
the 6
And
by
put
8.
that away for now.
I know.
There
Okay,
you go.
so this goes on the 6 by 8. Not the
That's
6
two.
by 6.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Okay, ready?
We are all
Don't know why.
discombobulated tonight. I'm just telling you, it's gonna be.
It's gonna be a long night.
Yeah. Ooh.
All right.
We all
so-
should have had a drink before we came up here.
Where's the gummies?
Yeah,
They all just cut everything.
It's not too late.
Before starting the class. Serious. Oh man.
All right, so our second wood grain, we're doing exactly the same thing with that C. So we're putting it, we're cutting through the lines, we're cutting it, we're measuring it into 1 inch, and then we're cutting from 0 up to 10. And then you flip it on its back, make sure you're cutting it the same way, 0 to 10. See, now that we figured it out, y'all are just zipping right along.
Wait till next time.
Until the next time.
We'll have to
3
figure
more
it out
months to see if y'all forget it
all
again.
over
That's right.
again.
Y'all don't remember this C by now?
By the time we get to the 4th one, we
I'm
probably
thinking-
still won't remember.
Yeah, my paper here. Just tell me which color needs to be cut this way. I've had them all.
Yeah, I was
now.
gonna say, let's just come
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking the same thing, Kathy.
Like, let's just get that right on out of the way.
Is that going on 2?
Yeah.
That's going on too,
H2.
yes.
We did it, but it, you know, you're trying to mentally think about it directionally for the pattern of paper. That's what throws it off.
Yeah.
I know how to cut out the square. That's not a big deal. It's the direction.
Well, and really, you know, it's such a soft pattern, it really wouldn't matter if
Yeah.
it was different from mine.
Yeah.
Yes, it would.
See, and that right there is, there's a couple of people in this room that are like,
Well, so so as long as you do both of them the same, right?
yeah.
Yeah, do them both right or both
Okay.
wrong.
Alright, so now your inside piece, you are going to cut it at, now you're cutting through the lines. You are going to cut it at 4 inches again. Now turn that 4-inch piece in the trimmer short and cut it at 8.5. Alright. Take a wild gander. Flip 3. Yep, 8.5 by 11 page, flip 3. Alright, and now the little little pieces in your hands are scraps, go back to your larger piece and put it in the trimmer tall and cut it at 3 inches. And then turn your 3-inch piece short, which are both 3 inches, it doesn't matter, and cut it at 4. Alright, and that goes on page 3. Alright, and the rest of that paper is a scrap.
Just needed
Oh, we're going.
you just needed a new slide thing.
Did you fix it?
Well, I had to because it was
Oh.
tearing up my paper.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alright, well, we'll throw this one away then. Alright,
It
so.
doesn't fall off now.
It does. Okay. And, you just wait.
It's possible it wasn't, cause they make different ones.
Yeah.
Some of them have the little grippy thing and some of them don't.
Mine just breaks so fast.
Hmm.
Okay, so next we are doing your winter leaves. One side is your winter leaves, and the back side is plaid. Yes, thank you, I got that one right. Alright, so, to me this one is not directional. Directional anybody else? Okay, good. So your first cut, these are easy cuts, is gonna be at 10 inches. Alright, now turn your 10-inch piece in the trimmer short and cut it at 6. Alright, one goes on page 1 with the leaves up, and the other page goes on page 2 with the plaid up. Now, as I've told y'all before, the way I did these was with it different. But if you wanna not do that and keep the plaid, the flowers up on both sides, you can easily flip that back over. So, cause last time I know y'all did like the back side better, so. Alright, so now with your 2-inch piece that you have left, put it short in the trimmer and cut it at 8. The 2x8 goes on flip 2. And the 2x4 that falls off goes on flip 3. Alright, second piece. First cut is at 5 3/4. Alright, now turn your 5 3/4 short and cut it at 5 3/4 again. Y'all, I'm so happy I have those people in class. Yay! Alright, so your 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 goes on flip 1. Alright, now out of the bottom of that, you're keeping it, let's see, short in the trimmer. That's close, it doesn't really matter. You can get the cut either way you cut it, so it doesn't really matter. You're gonna cut at 1 1/4 twice, 1 1/4 twice. And then you're gonna take both of those little 1 1/4 pieces and you're gonna turn them both short and cut them both at 5. Alright, and those both go on flip 3, your 8.5 by 11. I think it's floral side up, but I can't be sure. Yeah, floral side up. Alright, now your 12-inch piece, pull that back out, all the little pieces were scraps. Now go back to your 12-inch piece. Yeah. And I need 2 strips that are 2 by 12. So 2 inches by 12 inches. Do that twice. one goes on page 4. And y'all, I just noticed, I must have been tired.
Oh,
Yeah. I did them both. On one side I did plaid, and one side I did the leaves. So you do what you like.
Oh.
Matches your other page.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That wasn't my intention though. It was supposed to match. Alright, so they go on pages 3, 1 on 3, and 1 on 4, and you're done with that paper. Alright, now we're up to the stripes. And what's on the back side of that?
Green.
Yeah, okay, so we're cutting through the stripe, but if you wanna flip it, so you're not looking at the stripe, that hurts your eyeballs. Just know which way the stripes are going, you're cutting through them. And your first cut is at 4 inches. Alright, and then you're gonna turn that 4-inch piece short and cut it at 10. Alright, and that 4 by 10 goes on page 2. And the little 2-inch piece that fell off is a scrap. Now put your large paper in the trimmer short. Cut it at 6. And that 6 by 8 piece goes on flip 3. And now out of your piece that's left, we just need a 4 by 6. So put it in the trimmer.
Split side up. What side's gonna show?
The green side. So I have mine on the green side going, with the stripes going side to side. So I have it in the trimmer tall. Oh, yeah, in the trimmer tall. And cut it at 4. See how I have mine?
And then it's 6.
And then it's 6.
I think he wears me out.
That goes on.
Not really, I'm just so tired
one.
today. I'm usually really, really tired by the time we get to Friday.
Alright, y'all good? Did you cut yours?
Where did this go? I'm sorry.
Flip 1.
Flip 1.
The whole rest of that paper is a scrap. We're gonna let Noelle get caught up, and then we will do our second piece. You good? Yep. Oh, she did it. Alright, so, your second one, once again, we're cutting through the stripes. And your first cut is at 1.5. Turn your 1.5 short and cut it at 11. And that goes on flip 3. Now, and the little piece that falls off is a scrap. Now put your original piece, your 12-inch piece, back in the trimmer tall. And you are going to cut it at 4.5.
Put it in long or small?
Tall. Yep. Cut it 4.5. Yep, and then turn it short and cut it at 11.5. And that goes on page 3. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing again. We're gonna cut it, you're gonna put your paper in the trimmer tall, cut it at 4.5. and then turn it short and cut it at 11.5. And that goes on page 4. Alright, so now we're up to our card stop. Oh, yep, all the rest is scraps. So the first thing is our scarlet. So your red card stop goes next. And you are cutting this at 6 inches. And then you're going to turn your 6-inch piece short and cut it at 8. Well, they're both 6-inch pieces, so one of them. So that 6 by 8 becomes the base for flip 2. The little piece that falls off is a scrap or an extra mat. Alright, so now your 12-inch piece goes back in the trimmer tall. Cut it at 4.5. And then turn that 4.5 inch short and cut it at 11.5. And that goes on page 3. All right, second scarlet, 4.5. Turn that 4.5 short and cut it at 11.5. And that goes on page 4. And put your red paper goes back in the trimmer tall and cut it at 4.25. And then turn it short and cut it at 6.25. And that goes on flip 3, and the rest of your scarlet paper is a scrap. All right, so now we're going to move on to your sage. So your greenish one. Yes. All right, your first cut is, and hang on, these are going to be mats. Wait. Yeah, these are going to be mats. So your first cut is at 6.25. You're going to turn that 6.25 short and cut it at 4.25 twice. One of those goes on page 3 and one goes on page 4. Now put your remaining little piece of paper back in the trimmer short and cut it at 4. And then turn that 4-inch tall and cut it at 3. Or short and cut it at 3. So you done 4 by 3. Nope, that's gonna make.
Alright, this way is 4 inches, so cut it this way at 3. Or 3
So you're
by
gonna
4.
be left with a 4 by 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah, I did have it wrong, thank you. Yeah, pay attention.
I was thinking you were about to make a 3x3, I was like, wait a minute.
Watch me closely, please.
Alright, so now that piece goes on page 4 as well. Actually, I think it goes on page 3. Yeah, put it on page 3. Yep, the little piece that falls off is a scrap. Alright, so now your 12-inch piece goes back in the trimmer tall and cut it at 4 inches. And then turn it short and cut it at 6. Uh-oh. So the 4x6 goes on flip 3. And then, keep the rest of your paper in the trimmer short and cut it at 3. So we have 2, 3, 4x3s. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Alright, and both of those go on flip 3. Yep, flip 3. Yep.
Was that other piece on flip 3?
Yes.
Because we're doing front and back.
No, just the 4x6.
Hey, no, it was page.
Oh, it
It
was,
was page
okay.
3. I originally said page 4, but it should be on page.
Alright, I got it.
No, the 4x6 is
That's
on
what-
flip.
One of them?
Yeah,
Where was the other?
There was only one.
Oh, no,
there's
sorry.
only one.
4x6, and then there's 2 4x3s.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
This piece.
Alright, yep, scrap. Alright, so your next stage is 6 inches. Now turn it short and cut it at 6. And that 6x6 is now your flip 1 base. Now put your other 6 inches in the trimmer any way you choose.
I'm listening.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's ridiculous.
I thought you were sleeping. Alright, and put it in at 2 1/4. Now turn your 2 1/4 short and cut it at 2 1/4 again. And that 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 goes on flip 1. And now your little piece, put it back in the trimmer short and cut it at 1 inch. And then turn your little 1 inch short and cut it at 1 1/2. It says it goes on flip 1, but I have no idea where. About 1 1/2.
Got a little banner.
I don't see a banner on mine though. Maybe that was on the original one, it's not on this one. Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. Okay, that's it for that one.
So all this is scrap.
Alright, so tell me what we have left. We have coffee.
And pine, evergreen, whatever it is.
Dark green, tan, and brown.
Okay, so, next is our toffee, so that's our tan. Alright, and our first cut is going to be at 8 1/2. Alright, now turn that 8 1/2 inch piece short and cut it at 11. That is now your base for flip 3. The bottom piece that fell off is a scrap. Alright, so what's left should be, is it
3.5 by 12.
Okay, so turn that, shorten the trimmer and cut it at 4.5. And that goes on flip 1. Now put your remaining paper in the trimmer tall and cut it at 3.25. Now turn it short and cut it at 3.25 twice. Alright, one goes on flip 1. And one goes on flip 2. Alright. So second piece goes in the trimmer, cut it at 3.25. Now turn your 3.25 short and cut it at 3.25 3 times. And all of those go on flip 2. Alright, the little piece that falls off is a scrap. Put your paper back in the trimmer tall and cut it at 4 inches. Actually, go ahead and do that twice. 4 by 12, do it twice. Alright, turn them both short and cut them both at 6.
Those are my 6.
Uh-huh. Now take one of those back out and make it 4 by 4.